Hello, Apex and CCR students who are watching this for preparing to manage your time better as you go through self-study in Apex or other classes. Since we're doing online work mostly right now, there's several things to consider. I would engage in a conversation with you if I had time. Feel free to put some comments there in YouTube if you like to add to how online work affects you. But it can be hard. You're the teacher, you're the student. You have to figure these things out on your own, especially if you're doing things at sort of times when you don't have a direct contact with your instructor. It's necessary. Maybe your time schedule for work, you have children, the pandemic, just so many things going on. So it may be that you have to do this online. It can be confusing. Even the most savvy electronic person, tech person who's out there doing TikTok, doing Facebook, doing YouTube even, it can be a little confusing with all the different platforms and what you have to complete. It is more accessible. That's a good thing. So some of these are good, some of these are bad. So you can do it whenever you want. You can do it wherever you want. So it is more accessible. It's more time consuming though. Some people believe that online classes are easy, fast fixes, but remember, you're the teacher and the student. You have to figure this out. There tend to be a lot more quizzes and maybe writing assignments that you have to do, which may be more time consuming than were if you were in a seated class. They can be practical. Again, that has to do with your work schedule, when is a good time for you to study. So for you, it may be a practical solution. But it can be procrastinated. The activity can be procrastinated by you, the student. And that's part of what this lesson will be about, how to avoid not avoiding your lessons. And then it can be rewarding. When you do that last quiz or you finish a quiz as you're going along, you may feel, wow, I've succeeded. But you, a lot of times, are the one who has to sort of pat yourself on the back. But go out and reward yourself when you complete a unit or a final exam. So one thing you can do is a time analysis. A time analysis allows you to look at how do you use your time. So I posted a grid here, and I put one in the Sakai site, or you can email me and ask me for one. But it's a grid, and I'll show you one in a second, that where you fill out for a week, what do you think you do? First you do, what do you think you're going to use your time? So you think about, well, I got this upcoming week, this is how I'm going to spend my time. It's probably based on things you've done before. And then, in actuality, you go through and fill out the grid for what you did do that week. And then you compare the two. Did you spend the time the way you thought? Are there things you could have done better, faster, eliminated? We'll talk about that. So here's the grid. And you can see it continues all the way across through Sunday, starting at midnight, and you can block out times. You may say, well, I'm in bed from midnight to 7 or 6 or whatever. But be true to what you know, not what you hope to happen, but what you really think, well, this is what I do. But then again, you'll see what the reality is. You may say, well, I normally go to bed at midnight, but the week I tracked, I actually went to bed at 2 a.m. Or maybe I went to bed earlier and I went to bed at 11 p.m. So you're trying to get sort of an idea, a picture, a reality picture, a reality check, as they call it, of how do I spend my time. So you look at, well, what did you identify as struggles in your time? So I suggest talking to an instructor, resource specialist, another student who's done this thing, and see what are some ideas that I can do to make my time use better. So the first idea I'm going to give you is avoid procrastination. Procrastination is what I call the time killer, a hope destroyer. It can be very insidious in our lives, and everybody does it. So you're not the only person who may say, wow, I put off doing that. And it's easy to procrastinate in an online class. I've done a few online classes and found myself doing the same thing. But if you're trying to achieve your diploma, then you really don't want this to kill your hope by putting things off. Eventually, it's going to come back. Eventually, you're going to say, hey, I should have finished my diploma by May, and here I am sitting here with 3, 4, 5 classes I still haven't finished because, I sort of put them off. Doesn't matter why you put it off. It's just something that you sort of avoid. It's sort of like cleaning the toilet. Nobody really wants to do it, and you put it off long enough, it's really disgusting. So you don't want to do that. So you prevent procrastination. Nobody else can work with this on you. You can use other people as a reason. You say, hey, well, I want to spend more time with my children. And that's a very noble, good thing to do. But did you need to spend 3 hours playing Legos, or could you done an hour and then done your homework? So I've put a couple video links here. One is I want to recommend Procrastination, Tales of Mere Existence. It shows how procrastination can creep up on you even when you think it's really good, and I recommend watching it. It's not a very long video. It's a little funny, but it's also very eye-opening. Prioritize your tasks. And I highly recommend the book, or at least some of the videos by Brian Tracy. He wrote the book Eat That Frog. And it came up with this thought because apparently Mark Twain, a famous American writer, said if you only had one task to do in a day that was really hard and disgusting, eating a frog, when would you do that? Would you wait and do it, or would you do it right away? Because that's the one thing you got to do. And here I have my trusty frog, and I always, here he is. He moved. So I keep my frog. I use frog clips on things to remind me of stuff. And I think about, wow, if I have to do one thing a day, and I wouldn't eat this frog, but if I had to eat a frog, just get it over in the morning. It's like taking your medicine. You got to do it now. And frog activities are the things you really don't like doing, but you got to do them. And you'll have other things besides school, but you want to take care of things in a very prompt way. And Mr. Tracy also came up with what is known as the ABCDE method. And this is a way to evaluate activities you have on your list of things to do. And you have your A activities, which absolutely must be done. Your B activities would be best to do that day. C activities could wait. D activities is when you can actually give them to someone else, delegate. And then the E activity is an elimination, something you can just get rid of. You don't have to do it that day. Maybe you won't have to do it anytime soon, so you just eliminate it off your list. Very good method. I do recommend Mr. Tracy. Here's some other time management tips. Using a calendar. Again, put it on your calendar. Most phones have a calendar on them. You want to use that. Set yourself some deadlines. I need to finish this unit or this lesson or these many lessons by this date, this date, this date. Your course should have a syllabus. Apex courses have a syllabus online. I sent my students syllabi. They're also available in Sakai. And break that down and see what is it you need to do to finish and stay on time. Again, schedule your week. Don't just let it happen. I know some things are already scheduled, like having to go to work or take the kids to school. But other things like your study time, even your free time, should be scheduled. Again, avoid the procrastination, and then use the 3 R's: reduce, reschedule, reload. Can you reduce the kind of things that you're doing that week? Maybe you've got on your list that you want to clean out the trash cans. Can that wait? Can you reduce that activity? Can you reschedule it? Reload where you have to? Maybe something happens and you don't get it done. Can I put it somewhere else? That's important. Prioritize. That means make the most important things using like the ABCDE method. And then set goals, and I would do that first. Start off by setting your goal. When do you want to graduate? And don't just say next semester or next year, because that's a moving target. You want to say, I want to be finished by May 1st, 2022, or I want to be finished by December 30th, 2021. And make a target date. Circle it on your calendar, put a sign on your refrigerator or on your bathroom mirror that says, I'm graduating this date. And keep that in mind. That's setting a goal. And think about, what do I want to do after I finish high school? What do I want to do 5 years from now? So these are all things to consider right away. So how do you use a calendar? You may say, well, I know how to use a calendar, and that's fine. But you want to use a week-to-week planning. I recommend the calendar. Most phones come with a calendar. You can connect it to your Sakai calendar. You can, and Sakai is real important because those of you going on to college are going to have similar platforms that you use in your college classes. And you want to put all your appointments, your class assignments, projects you have to do, important happenings in your life, and put them all on one calendar. I'd recommend putting one on your phone, but also if you've got family activities or things that affect your family, put a regular old-fashioned calendar on the wall and write those in, and that way everybody's on the same track and there's no confusion and things have to be delayed. You also might consider a planner. A planner is just a paper calendar. They do make student planners. You can buy one at the bookstore here. You can go to the Dollar Tree. They carry those, or just a calendar that you can carry that's big enough to write a lot of stuff on it. They work if you commit to using them. Doesn't help that you write everything in calendar and then never look. I've done that. So I'm not talking about anything I haven't tried and failed. But look at your calendar every day, and especially at the beginning of the week, and say, so this is what I have to do for the week. It can help you things like, how do you plan your dinners? How do you plan activities with your kids or your spouse or your mate? Your friends. How does that happen? You don't want to have a lot of just sort of unexpected interruptions. And we do have calendars and planners available if you need those. Use your syllabus. That was one that I said earlier. Syllabus is a class schedule. So each course you're taking should have a syllabus. And it should give you a breakdown of what the semester will mean. Most semesters run about 16 weeks, maybe 18 weeks if you conclude holidays and breaks. But summer terms can run much shorter, anywhere from 4 to 7 or 8 weeks. So, but look at your syllabus, see what the teacher has broken down and help to sort of pace you out. Right? And you should go over every syllabus for every class. If you're only taking one class, that's easy. But if you're taking more than one, you need to compare and see, what do I have to do? Because one class may have more work done one week and another one less, or you may have a lot of work for both, and you have to check that out. And put them all on put all the projects, all the tests, all the activities, and put them on your calendar. Also add anything that might be added later. For seated courses, you may find that a teacher may add something. But generally a syllabus is a commitment by the teacher. It's like a contract to the student. This is what we're going to get done. And if the teacher didn't give you a syllabus, ask the teacher for that syllabus, even for Apex, to get a printout. We can mail you one. We can email you one. It's always good to have one. Then schedule your week. I suggest that using the grid, the planner, write down what you're doing in the blocks of time. And each week may be a little different. You don't have to schedule a whole month at a time. Schedule each week individually. One week you may have an appointment for the doctor. The next week you may not have any time because you're working a lot. And you have to be prepared. Do I need to shuffle things over? And hopefully you can do things ahead of time and not behind times, because you don't want your frogs to pile up, okay? So anyway, so make sure those frogs are all lined up. And if you can't find time, block sometimes. People think, oh, I've got to have hours to study. You can do things in small quantities of time. Put at least 15 minutes per class per session in the class. You do 15 minutes a week, it's going to take you a very long time to do these courses. So you don't want to say, well, if I have 15, 20 minutes, I'll be moving forward. But you will be moving forward, and that's fine. But just be aware, if you have 10 units and you only spend 15 minutes, that's probably only going to get you a couple lessons in a unit, and that's going to be a long time to get that done. So try to schedule more than one 15-minute session, but 15 minutes at a time, it works. Just don't let that 15 minutes get away. All right? Eliminate unnecessary things. Again, we talked about it, rescheduling, reloading, eliminating activities, and combine activities. If you're going to the school to pick up the kids and you're sitting there waiting, take a printout of what you're doing. Maybe you're reading a book, maybe you have a writing assignment, or you can pull up the lesson on your phone and work on it while you're waiting on the children. Or maybe you're waiting on your laundry to get done. You're sitting in the laundromat. What can I do there? There's a lot of things you can do besides watching the laundry spin around and around. So again, you don't need a huge block of time. 15 minutes, 30 minutes, each of those are very usable pieces of time. Carry your work with you. Have your Apex login set up on your phone so you can click on it and just log in. It's not a very big screen, not great for writing assignments, but can be good for reading. And then I mentioned the reduce, reschedule, reload, and you may have to do that frequently. That's okay. Again, time is fluid for each person, and it's a little different. I can't give you an exact advice on how to do your schedule unless we sat down together, and I would be glad to come if you want to come in and do that. And actually figure out, well, what can I do and when should I do it? What should I get rid of and what should I reschedule, etc. That's individual and can go week to week. So one of the things you may end up being necessary to do is to reduce the number of things you're doing. And right now, I know financially it's very hard to reduce job time, work time. But if you can, see if you can reduce that. Maybe less fun time. Yes, we all need to have relaxing, down, fun time. But maybe you need to reduce it. Tell your friends, I can go out with you, but we're only going to be able to spend an hour. Okay? But keep some time. You need at least one activity a week that you can do and just sort of relax and not think about things. But also look at less wasted time. We waste a lot of time. You get on the internet, you want to do a little research about something in class, and next thing you know, you're looking at recipes for banana bread, or looking at the funny cat videos, or looking at the latest TikTok trends. And it's real easy to suddenly you look up and go, oh my gosh, I've been doing this for an hour or 2 hours or whatever. Reschedule. Again, evaluate your weekly time schedule and adjust accordingly. You may need more times on weeks when there's a major project or writing assignment due, or you've got a big test like a final exam. Make sure that you reschedule enough time for that. You can also come in, I suggest it Fridays here, but pick a day you have free. Campus is open Monday through Saturday. The library's open. The computer labs are open. There's plenty of quiet places to study. So if you want to just get away from it all, do that. At least currently you have to wear a mask while you're on campus, but there's still plenty of private, quiet places you can study, both by with computers or with your own computer. Reload. Again, set that up again. I would do it at least every semester as a minimum, but you may need to do it every 3 or 4 weeks. The last 3 or 4 weeks of a semester are usually the busiest. And I do recommend, don't wait till the last 3 weeks of class and go, well, I can rush through and get my Apex course done, because something will happen. It'll happen. You'll get stuck on a concept. There might be an emergency at home. I hope you don't have any, but things happen. And your boss asks you to come in and do an extra shift. So don't leave everything to the last minute. Do it earlier. And of course, make priorities. A priority is something that you have to do right away. You've got to do it. You have to pay the light bill. The lights will get turned off. You have to take the kids to school. You have to take kids to get to the doctor for checkups. You have to occasionally clean your kitchen, things like that. But there are certain priorities, and school should be a priority. If you sign up, think of it as a priority. It's not just something you sort of tacked on to your activity schedule. So again, I mentioned this, family's always number one. Job can also be very high. What about your future? Education is part of your future. So what do you want to do to get there? You may have religious commitments. Maybe you have Friday prayers, or you have Sunday worship. These are things that you may have. There may be activities associated with your church group, or your mosque or your temple, and you want to be able to participate in those. Again, education is a high priority. I say that as a teacher and a student, but again, if you have so many other commitments, this is something you're going to have to consider. What kind of health issues are you facing? Or maybe you're taking care of someone who has health issues. That also may affect whether or not you can continue. So, while those previous items are important, some things will be more important than others. You just need to decide based on your goals and your values what you have to shift. I personally think education is important. Most people nowadays do say education is important. But you need to decide, is Apex the thing you want to spend your time on? Would it be better suited to do a GED or HiSET test? Do you need to go to college to get a career training? I mean, there are a lot of training programs that don't require you to go to college. But you need to make these decisions, and you want to make them in an orderly manner, not just sort of, oh, I set a resolution up this year to get my GED or get my Apex classes finished and go to college. Is something you should write down on a sheet of paper and put it where you can see it and say, I'm going to do this. Wherever your priorities are, that's where you'll spend your time. And again, if you just added school recently and you haven't quite figured out where am I going to fit that in my time schedule, then you're going to have to sit down and look at these priorities and say, what do I need to shuffle? What do I need to change? How can I add school in and make it a priority? It's not like adding an extra routine at night. Maybe you're going to comb your hair more or something. It's something that's going to take a fair amount of effort and time to get done. Or set goals. Goals are just like what it sounds like. It's like when you play football or soccer, you have a goal. You have to get the goals. If you don't get the goals, the touchdowns, the goals, the points, the game doesn't really go anywhere, does it? So list your goals, write them down, organize them by time frame. I say make sure they're smart, specific, uh, um, manageable. In other words, you can do them. Um, are they? Um, so SMART goals include A for attainable, M for measurable or manageable, A for attainable, and yes, you can reach goals. Sometimes we have a goal that's a little out there, but that's okay. You may say, well, I want to go live on the moon one day. Uh, and that may be attainable. Maybe not right this moment. So you always have to say, well, what can I do? What right now can I do? All right? And then you have the R, which is realistic, which is going to the moon. It's more than realistic to get your high school diploma. That is something that most people can get done. It may take some longer than others, uh, but then you may have to say, well, do I have time to do college? Do I need to wait on that? Can I do one or two classes towards my college degree? Those are things that you can make realistic. And then the T is the time bound. Again, saying I'm going to do this next year rather than putting a date on it is not part of the SMART goal uh, plan. And then you can do this for a month, a semester, 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years. 5 years and 10 years might not be things you can nail down right away, but you can still put them on your goal sheet. So prioritizing and time management will help you meet your goals, and you will be able to finish and feel good about it. I do recommend speaking to others if you've had real struggles with time management. Look at your support group, your friends who can help, your resource specialists here at the college, your teachers. There are tons of YouTube videos on time management. You could look at a few of those, but unless you really think about this and do something about it, time will continue to move and it'll leave you wherever you're standing if you're not moving with it. So again, see one of our resource specialists here if you need extra help. And I wish you the best of luck in planning your time and doing better and achieving those goals that you want to achieve. Thank you.